Welcome to Customer Tech Talks. Joining me is Adam Yager, Principal Architect from H&R Block. Adam, thanks for joining us.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Now, most people may not know this, but H&R Block has been around for more than 60 years, so no doubt modernizing your applications was no small task. Can you share with everyone how you approach taking these applications to Azure, and most importantly, the impact this has had on the business?
Yeah, absolutely. So we kind of took a step back and just asked ourselves, what do we want to be when we grow up? What does the cloud provide? What benefits does it have? Who are the players? And then once we sort of packaged all that strategy up, before we moved to single application, we built kind of mundane things like the virtual data centers, we called it the VDC, and that encompassed subscriptions, resource groups, peering, express routes, naming conventions, permissioning structures, and all those other things. And then we moved a couple applications, a couple small applications to get our feet wet. And then we decided we would only learn big things if we did big things. So we decided within the next year we were going to remove one of our data centers, and it had one of our several of our most important client-facing applications. And that was a key. It wasn't the easiest way to do it. Success wasn't guaranteed, uh, but we did it, and we learned a lot in that year. It would have taken us much longer had we taken a different approach.
That's great. I love that term that if you're going to learn big things, you have to do big things. And I love the fact that you took that approach. Now, no doubt during this time of learning big things, there were also some challenges when you were making this move. Looking back, can you share what some of those challenges were? And most importantly, how did you address these?
Yeah, so we started our journey about 4 years ago, and one of the things we found rather quickly was that, as it pertains to our journey in Azure, that there wasn't a lot of people that had done big at scale. 100,000 plus concurrent user like workloads, even within the Azure consultants or some folks we hired, there wasn't a lot of been there done that. So we felt like we were doing it for the first time, and so we also had some cultural issues related to doing things differently and moving forward. And so how we managed that was we said we were going to carve off some people and we were going to sit in a room for a few months. It's that virtual data center that I talked to you about. And we weren't going to take any considerations into our legacy baggage and how we used to do things. It's what did we want? How were we going to do it? And how would we do it the best we possibly could? We knew we'd fail. We knew we'd learn. But that was key. That really got us to where we wanted to be. And I'm really lucky that I still get to spend time with those guys all the time.
That's really great. And, one of the things that I love is that you kind of went, both feet into that and really kind of, paved your way ahead. But as you look back and, potentially there are organizations out there today who are looking at H&R Block as the organization that's been there and done that. What are some of the lessons you would share with an organization in a similar situation about modernizing their own legacy applications?
I think there's three things, and probably more, but there's big three things that I can think about. And one is infrastructure as code. We decided from the beginning, even when it slowed us down in the beginning, that using infrastructure as code versus the portal to make changes was key. We're certainly better at it today than we were in the beginning, but knowing that that's where we had to start was important, very important. The second one was we knew that well-managed clouds didn't have one of everything. They didn't have one database, one of every database possible, and one of every compute platform as possible, and one of every messaging platform as possible. So we were very intentional. This type of workload uses this type of service, and we created, decision trees around how you would use those and what we also did was say this is how you deploy the service and use the service and secure the service and support the service, and automate the service. And so what we now have is a self-service platform that app teams can use to deploy services, and we know that they'll always be done the right way and the cost optimized way, really, to be honest with you. And then lastly, indexing heavily on PaaS services versus VMs and infrastructure services. That's key. We did find that sometimes they didn't meet our needs, and so we, pushed with the product team and our account team and the Azure ecosystem and said we need this feature and this capability. It needs to be more secure. It needs to be faster, or whatever. And then when it got to that point, we started using it, and so we're heavily indexed on that today, and that's been another key takeaway.
Some really great lessons there, especially around things like using infrastructure as code. Even though it may slow you down, it pays off dividends in the end. Putting in governance model early to make sure people are using the services the right way, and then really taking advantage of those platform as a service offerings as well. Adam, thank you so much for taking the time with us today. It's been great to hear about your journey.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
And of course, if you want to learn more about modernizing your own applications, you can head to Microsoft Learn to get started. If you'd like to see more customer stories, you can head over to our channel to keep up to date on all the latest episodes. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.